welcome back to another show of Keep It Real. Let's talk about it. I'm going to be your gracious host today. I am here with Handsome Shells and Kenya B. How is everyone doing in these crazy times?
I mean, how are we supposed to feel? Nobody likes black people, and they're definitely showing it. They've been showing it these last couple of days, so I don't really feel too great, but I also feel a sense of empowerment. It's kind of weird.
Okay, I like that. I feel that. I think we definitely are having an emotional battle within us all. We're fighting the anger and we're trying to fight and be logical at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of at war within as well. So I definitely feel that. So obviously we cannot start the show off and not talk about this whole George Floyd, tragedy that happened earlier this week. I mean, oh man. So it looks like we have autopsy report has come in. And I did actually hear about the autopsy report. So they actually tried to lie. Mm-hmm. They tried to lie about it and cover it up, and it's like, how many signs, how many things do we need to see that these people, I mean, they'll do anything. They don't care about us, and it's quite clear.
Fucks.
It's the crazy thing is Michael Jackson been saying this. He said that in that other song.
You're the second person. All I want to say
is that they don't really care about us.
You're the second person to quote Michael Jackson and his music and the message that he was trying to give us, because we were the children at that time. The message that he was trying to give us. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's why I feel like that's why I'm more enlightened than maybe the older generation or even the younger, because we just had the influences in music that we were touched by it, so, because he was like, we had Black and White and all of that. He was always talking about, these racial issues. So, I mean, I don't know, man. That autopsy report, that person trying to lie, is that person going to get convicted of a crime?
You're right.
I doubt it. Because the medical examiner that was hired by the county to examine his body, the Hennepin County, I think that's what the medical examiner's county was called, the coroner came back and said, hey, they found fentanyl, methamphetamine, and all these other drugs in his system, and he actually didn't die from the asphyxiation. He died from, I want to say it was like a heart attack or something that caused that, but based on the drugs that was in his system. And then the family got their own autopsy report, and the autopsy obviously proved the obvious that he could have breathed.
It was pressure from the back to the bone, and he wasn't getting enough blood to the brain, and he basically suffocated to death. Oh my God! All right, so his family's reaction, that was heartbreaking. He has a daughter, he has a wife, he has a brother. He is somebody that is loved, and it was really heartbreaking to see. So now another girl is left fatherless, is left angry, is left, with mental turmoil about how she is supposed to view herself in the world and who is protecting her really in this world.
Right. It's ridiculous because I saw a photo. I'm not sure if it was his daughter or not, but I saw a photo where it said something like, how can you guys make fun of us for not having fathers, but you guys kill our fathers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it was a little girl holding, I don't know if it was his daughter, but that really resonated with me because I had my father in my life, but I would definitely feel away if he was just killed just because of the color of his skin.
Exactly. Like, how would you feel?
You know what I'm saying?
You would be so fucked up. Like, you're going to be so fucked up in the head. Unless you got strong family around you. And right now, I wouldn't even blame them if all of them were weak to their stomach right now. I would not be able to blame them. Like, oh God. All right. So it looks like Mayweather is going to be paying for their funeral costs. So that's nice that he's using his millions, that he's always showing off for something good. And something supportive.
Right. I feel like he was the only he was the only celebrity that I've noticed that wanted to do something for the family.
For the family.
So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And he's got a lot of money, so I mean, it ain't nothing. There's no sweat off his fucking back.
Exactly. Well, toodles to you, Mayweather. You know, I'm sure the family's going to be very appreciative of that, because funeral business is a very expensive business. Take notes, black people. Maybe we could start opening up some funeral parlors. You know, make some money.
That's so sad. That's such a sad thing to think about, that, like, we can make a lot of money off of funerals.
Yeah.
But
people die. People die every day. It doesn't necessarily have to be black people, but people die every day. And at the end of the day, you have to bury that person in a dignified way. Can't just dig a hole and put them in it. So, you know. All right, so protests. My opinion on protests is toodles to anybody that is on the ground, that's in the field. I'm not going to take that away from nobody. All right, how do you feel about the protests, Kenya? Do you feel like they're getting the right message across? Are we penetrating the government with it? Like, what's your opinion of the current state of the protests?
Well, penetration is just such an interesting word. But nonetheless,
that's what needs to happen.
Protest, how do I feel about them? Okay, so I'm not for the looting. I think it's a little bit redundant, especially if we're doing it in cities that thrive off of black business and thrive off of black business owners. Mm-hmm. I understand behind it, and if that's how you feel like you need to state your message, then so be it. But I feel like the protesting will work, but we also need to think of an alternative route, because we've done this again for centuries. You know what I'm saying? And it does work, but at the expense of how many bodies, how many people got to get hurt, people getting shot and tased, and you know what I'm saying? So it's just more like, if the martial law actually goes into effect and people start dying over this, I feel like at that point it's like, okay, clearly the protest ain't working. We need something else. We need to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
What that something else is, you know,
that history repeat itself all over again, man. You know, the protesting, you know, they have to try a different method, man. You know, work.
But I'm curious, because you as an island person, right?
Yeah.
You're from Jamaica, and you guys are very involved when it comes to your government, right? Mm-hmm. And your policing, because that's what I see when I visit those, you know, smaller islands.
Definitely.
And like, how do you feel like island people would deal with a situation like that? Because I feel like there would be more of a sense of community.
Exactly.
Because I couldn't see island people looting. I couldn't, because they would know that they're damaging their own economic base. It wouldn't make sense. I feel like
I mean, I don't want to be that bitch, but these other countries, they be on some, listen, we doing some corrupt shit. We paying the government, you know what I'm saying? The government is going to do what we want the government to do, period.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because these politicians get paid by the locals.
Right.
So that's why certain shit like this don't be happening unless the government actually starts to fight back. And they're like, no.
But that's what
we're not accepting any more money.
But that is what politics is all about. This is why we don't have really much of a voting power, because we don't give much. We don't give money. Like other communities have money in an economic base, so they can buy their politicians and they can stipulate what they want that politician to do for them. So the reason why I asked him that is because I wanted to get down to that. Like, we need to understand that we have to have something to give in order to get back. You know what I mean? So we have to say, all right, listen, Joe Biden, I will support you. I'll give you $1 billion out of black voters' money. But you need to stipulate in contract form what you are doing for this particular community, black community.
But see, these politicians, they lobby, they accept donations to their campaign. So if we do it in the most legal way possible, there is a way to do it. But black people, unfortunately, a lot of us are not in the financial standing to be donating millions of dollars unless who
But we
money
actually
together,
are,
which
because
is
we just said
that's
Mayweather has a ton of money that he's always saying that he
that's
has.
Mayweather.
Sorry?
That's Mayweather.
But
You know, black people believe
but
in individualism more than they believe in
overall, I would
community.
say between all these athletes, these entrepreneurs from Atlanta that own these businesses, these entertainers, I mean, together. Remember, we had a 3.7 trillion buying power. So you mean to tell me we couldn't redirect that money to a government body that serves us and control your pigs? Control them.
I think it's more of an individualism thing. Our black people are very individualistic these days.
That is the problem.
Mayweather's money is Mayweather's money. Jay-Z's money is Jay-Z's money. Oprah's money is Oprah's money. It's not their money, and they will never think of it like that unless there's something in it for them. And there is.
But there is
change.
There's change for your children, because it doesn't matter if you're Mayweather or all right, prime example of Mayweather, right? His daughter got into problems with the police. Do they give a fuck that Mayweather has a ton of money? You have to go to court and fight this crime that you've done. It doesn't matter. You're still a black girl in America. It doesn't matter if your dad is a black rich guy. The laws are not shaped for us.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you use that money and redirect it somewhere else?
It's about everybody coming as a collective, and that sometimes is the issue.
Yeah.
I feel like there are certain communities that will come as a collective and do things for their community. That's observed a lot in Hispanic communities, Asian communities, Jewish people. They pool their money together and get resources that are good for them. Black people will do it on an individual basis.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
For God's sake, the Spanish have their own TV channel, bro.
Yeah.
The native black American has been here before that. They got radio stations. We have to learn their language.
We do too.
They don't have to learn our language. We don't even know what our language is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to learn any kind of Swahili or any original language of the original people that were here before them.
In America.
It's crazy.
In America, yes.
It's America. I'm specifically speaking about the right here in America. Specifically speaking of here.
We got BT. We got black radio stations and things like that. It's just us as a collective.
And we don't own a large portion of media and communications. So we can't even come together and organize. We can't, because as soon as we organize something, we can be infiltrated.
Easily.
We can't communicate over the phones because we don't control that. We can't communicate via media because we don't control that. And we can't really communicate through not even through journalism, books and newspapers. We don't own none of that. Mm-hmm. We got to really, really get together and really think about the real ground level work that we have to do in order to ask these people for anything. Like, it's crazy.
Real work have to put in, if you want a real result, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do some real groundwork.
The looting, you know what I mean? The looting, for me, you're looting the wrong things. What is your message when you're going to Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Target and looting these places? I want to know. I would love for Peep City to interview one of them and say, all right, we know that you're angry, but what is your agenda here? You stealing from, Gucci or Louis Vuitton. What is that? What's that agenda for? That is literally valuing individuality. They're going to sell it and make some money and they're going to be good.
Facts.
I did see something on social media that some people are infiltrating these fashion lines because these fashion lines use beautiful black people to model their stuff, and they're not standing up in solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement.
But what does that have to do with Louis Vuitton? That's got to do with the black models that are modeling for Louis Vuitton.
It has to do with Louis Vuitton because they will hire these black models to model their clothing. And they like black people in that aspect. Mm-hmm. But when it comes on to black people dying and being treated like shit, they don't say.
But they don't have to. They don't have to. You can't be mad and angry at that. They don't have to.
No, and I agree with
we have to. We have to care.
It's like y'all can sit here and make money and gain capital off of
That's fine. Listen, I like Chinese people. If I have a business, and I would love to have Chinese people working in my business because they work well, right? Now, if anything pops up in their community, I don't really care about it. Y'all handle that.
Well, I mean, and that's you. You know, that's you. I think the big majority of people feel like it's hypocritical to stand behind people when it's beneficial to you.
That's excuses. Now you're going off the point of George Floyd and these police murders, and now you're going to models. And I mean, what is your agenda here?
What I'm saying is,
are you trying to change the fashion designers' laws? Or are you trying to change the police laws?
I'm not saying that's all. I'm not saying that's all looters' agenda. I do think some looters are stealing, obviously, to make money off of the stuff they're stealing. But some of the people on social media are like, if we're going to loot, we should loot from not the black businesses, but the rich white ones, the corporations that don't give a fuck about black people. They only give a fuck about black coins.
Right.
So they're just like, listen, I'm finna steal from Gucci. I'm finna steal from Louis Vuitton, because when their voice matters the most in supporting us, you know what I'm saying? Because having allies is also helpful too. Black people didn't get where we were today just because of black people. They had white allies and other allies of different races. You know what I'm saying?
But why are you begging them to be? It's either you're an ally or you're not.
We're not begging them.
You know what I mean? So you stealing from them, how is that going to fix your objective? That is my point.
We ain't begging for shit.
How is stealing from Gucci going to fix that problem? Because when this is all said and done, people are still going to the model for Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Guess why? Because we don't own those industries. Mm-hmm. And they have to work and make money. So what is your objective?
Unfortunately,
you gotta have an objective. It doesn't make sense going on the road doing those things.
The objective at the time in the event, if I decide to get up today and go to Gucci and do that, my objective would be, because I either want to sell those clothing or I want to prove a point that I don't fuck with y'all because y'all actually don't fuck with me. That's the point at the time. But in the long term, maybe it's not useful. But if we're being real, looting in the long term ain't useful. Protesting in the long term ain't useful. And us building businesses and buying property is useful, but it's only useful if we are the ones that are selling these properties and the shit that we're trying to create. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of things for black people, unfortunately, will always have to go through a white person until we get a black person in that level of power that's like, actually.
So how can you fight? How can you fight somebody that you have to ask to help you and feed you? You cannot fight that system then.
It's not fighting. It's about getting the message across that, listen, we understand the sense of power that you guys have. We acknowledge that. So we want you to use your power to be allies to us in the situation. And I feel
then they say, no, we don't want you as an ally because you have nothing to offer. What's next? Because how are you an ally to me? How are you an ally to me? But then all they're gonna do is get martial law. We don't control nothing. So we're very easy to control. Right now, let me tell you, right now, right? America's allowing, right now we are children and they're allowing us to kick and scream. Soon mommy and daddy will get home and they'll start to get serious and you're going to have to sit down and settle yourself and they're going to show you who really is the boss. Because that's what I do in my house. I allow you to kick and scream and all of that. I'll give you time to steam off or whatever. But then there's a point where I have to remind you who's mommy and who's daddy up in here and who really runs this shit. Who really pays the bills? So who really is feeding y'all?
How do black people end up being mommy and daddy?
What do you mean?
As a whole. How do black people
owning and controlling? Listen, the Jews are mummies and daddies. The Chinese are mummies and... Have you ever seen police policing Chinatown? Tell me. No. Run your own shit. Run your own shit. Everywhere you go in the country, there's a Chinatown. Where's Africa Town? Where's Jamaica Town? Come on. Run your own shit. It's not hard. It's not difficult. The Chinese come in. They work for other people, right? They work in with whoever, white people, whatever, study it, build their little business, bring others in, and just build from there, and just build from there.
It's systemic.
We all need to just start owning shit. That's all it is.
Asian people have not been systemically oppressed for centuries. okay?
But they have been
They went through a
suppressed.
period of
They have
time.
had their own wars. They've been
They have
bombed
been-
on. They've
but
been.
yeah,
There's a
they've been
lot
in
of stuff that have
concentration
happened to their society, just like the
In
Jews. There's a lot of that has
concentration
happened
camps
to them.
Concentration camps for 10, 20 years, 15 years, or whatever.
460 years. Are we not tired, bro?
Does not equate to a European coming to your country and ripping you from your shit and bringing you here and saying, listen, you're going to build this whole
So
country.
imagine you ripped. Remember, we're supposed to be these great, wonderful people. You ripped sons, daughters, nephews, uncles from people, and not one ship could come and get you. You couldn't go and get your son or your daughter or your husband. You couldn't organize. So they see the black race as a weak race from the beginning.
Listen, I was having a conversation with my friend, Mr. Kevin Leo,
Yes.
and I also voiced like, how did we allow someone to come and manipulate us and make us feel like, oh yes, if we go to this country and do X, Y, and Z, then we're gonna be the same. We're gonna be treated as equal. How did that even happen? But
no, it didn't. Don't let people talk shit. Don't let people talk shit and make it seem like they gave us this full pretense that we were going to go to this paradise. They've got cells in Ghana where they house. The cells are literally castles where they used to house Africans before they go on the ship. So they knew exactly what was going on. Exactly what was going on. You had people living in unsanitary prisons in Ghana, right by the border of the sea, stacked up on one another like cattle, ready to go. And you mean to tell me that's people's sons, daughters, husbands, nieces, nephews, and we're supposed to be these great first people of the world. And not one ship out of 50 million fucking Africans. So listen, that's a declaration of war. If you did that to any other race, that's a declaration of war. You're seeing bombs, whatever, come down on you, raining down on you. But we just said, hands up. This is what we are. And we keep passing down oppression to our children. This is what we are. This is it. Nah, it's got to end right now. It's got to end. And we got to stop looking.
You think violence... You think violence is the answer? You think burning police stations and doing all that shit is the answer?
I mean, me personally, I don't think I would use a different strategy. But to be honest, that's how the LGBT community got their respect. They burnt shit down. Look how much respect they get. They get more respect than the black community. You have to think twice.
We burning shit down now.
You have to think twice.
We burning shit down now.
You know? So
we burning shit down now. We looting shit. We doing
the looting doesn't work. Me personally, if you're going out to protest, do your thing.
What is Trump doing? Trump is setting up martial law. Trump is over here like,
because he's your daddy. He's showing you who's the daddy. He's showing you who's the daddy. Y'all ain't got shit.
And I'm just saying, how do black people become the daddy in the situation?
You got to plan. You got to plan. You got to plant seeds. You got to plant seeds.
You will never become shit because your skin color is this, and you're a savage.
Not, as I keep saying, it's not about skin color. It's about our condition, because you don't see them killing You think they like Jews? You think they like Asians? But you will never ever see them kneel on one of their necks for 9 minutes.
That we are less than.
Huh?
I don't know, man.
It's all about what we own and control. We don't contribute nothing. Yeah. The Chinese contribute. They give them cheap labor, so they have to know how to deal with them and their people, because they will fuck with their money on a serious level.
You know,
they have something to contribute. Jews have something to contribute. What are we contributing? We're giving them our money for free.
I want to see the comments.
My gosh. We're giving them our money for free. We don't contribute nothing.
The money not even circulate too long.
You know what I mean?
None at all.
You think one day of not spending is doing anything? They think we're fools. Huh?
Viewers, if you think oppression and slavery is a choice, comment below and let us know what you think is the most effective way for black people to become the mommies and the daddies of the household, aka America today. But I don't really know.
We have to plan. That's all we can do. We have to plan and plant seeds. Yep. We should have done this 100
Okay.
years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago. All we've done is pass down oppressions from generation to generation. It's time for it to stop now. What I'm going to pass down to my kids is ownership and valuing things and valuing their skin and valuing their community. Whatever you learn outside of your community, you bring it back to try and grow your own community and make your community flourish.
So you feel like Black people have also oppressed them. You feel like Black people have oppressed themselves.
Yeah, they've taken over the job. Definitely. I've had people attack me.
Well, that's where we're gonna have to disagree.
Right, I've got people, right? Most of the people that want to attack me are my own people. I put up a positive post about a plan, a strategizing plan of how we can get out of the current state that we are in. And that person decided to say that I'm a racist because I said that I'm Black first and then I'm a woman. He said that I'm a part of the problem because I'm stating that I am Black. And I should be stating that I am of no color, I am a child of God. And I said it would be very nice to look at it like that. But in my passport, it says I'm Black. Mm-hmm. On my driver's license, it says I'm Black. I don't make the rules. And
your skin is also, you're a Black person.
But,
that's
what I'm saying. When I walk out of the house, the first thing you see on me is my skin. Then you see that I am a woman. Then you might know that I'm a mother. You know what I mean? That is the first thing that you see. So I'm embracing who I am. And it was a mixed race person trying to justify, that he's half Black, half white, and that he's a child of God and this and that, and he's of no color. So I said, good luck with that. Because when police stop you, you are a Black male. That's how they're going to describe you when they're giving a description if you are committing a crime. So good luck to you and being in a community of no color, because you're obviously not a part of this community. You've made that very clear. So I've been having more debates with my own people than other communities. Other communities get it. I've been literally debating with my own people when we should just be rallying together. Why do we have to disagree? We don't have to disagree. You have your views, I have mine. But at the end of the day, let's come together. Let's utilize your education in journalism, utilize my education in real estate, utilize his entrepreneurship. Just put all our heads together, every single one of us. Just put our heads together and use one another. Mm-hmm. Use one another. You're a journalist. I want to get my message out there. Put me on a platform that my message can be heard. And write it in a way that can be understood by others, because I might not be able to articulate it in a way that, an average person can understand. So that's your job as a journalist, to kind of filter that down and break it down for the masses to understand the messaging. So, listen, man, we got to get organized. That is my plan. And it doesn't have to take another 100 years. Within 5 years, we can be in a great place. Black people were great people at one time. We owned everything. It's social integration that ruined all of that because we wanted to ride the front of the bus. The fuck? With the white people when we got our own bus station. We have our own buses, our own cabbies, our own schools, our own doctors.
Everything.
But because we wanted to ride at the front of the bus with the white people to feel important, we decided that social integration was the best thing for us. Before social integration, we had no choice but to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. We had no choice but to feed ourselves.
You don't feel, and this is the last thing I want to say on this, because we should go to a different topic. But I feel like wanting to integrate and wanting to be able to mingle with people is a natural human desire. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like Black.
All right, listen though, Kenya. We're gonna interact. We go to bars. We go to bars. Why do we have to?
Necessary.
No, but why do we have to mix our schooling? We have two different histories. Now that we've gone over to the social integration, we no longer learn about the important parts of our history. We learn about theirs. Because it's their job to teach their children.
America is a melting pot.
Huh?
If we thought the way that you thought, America is a melting pot, so obviously it's about mixing cultures, understanding different cultures. That's what it's supposed to be anyway.
All right. Did you go to school with a Jew? Did you go to school with a Jew? Did you go to school with a Jew?
A Jewish person?
Yes, because Jews have their own schools. Yes. Jews have their own schools. They have their own hospitals. You know what I mean?
They do.
They have their own. So nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. What's the problem with? We can mix. I'm not saying that we can't mix, but why do we have to socially integrate? Why do our schools and our businesses have to socially integrate?
You're getting into a different conversation. That's a little bit more controversial because segregation was a big thing, and it was mainly because.
But it was a good time for black people because we ran our own thing.
Okay.
We ran our own thing. These are things that I've heard come from people that lived in that time, bro.
I'm sorry, but you're. I'm not gonna discredit you, but you are a British person. You know what I'm saying? You can't really 100% speak on African American struggles and
you can
because you're coming from.
But you can. You remember your parents are island people. They didn't suffer. They didn't suffer the way that the black Americans suffered. So the same goes for you. You're not a native of here. You are from the islands. Same goes for you.
My family is from the islands. You get me?
But listen. You are born here, just like how my kids are born here, right? Right? You're born here, but your history, your nativity is not here. So the same goes for you then. You can't be held credible then for nothing that you have to say.
So what I'm saying is you're speaking on American segregation and how we were better off. Americans were better off not being segregated. You know what I'm saying? That is not a valid point to make.
They were better off. We were better off. These are things that I've heard of people that lived in those times. They owned their own bus stations. They owned their own cab stations. They owned businesses and industries. They owned hotels. They owned things that mattered. So the money circulated in their communities.
In America?
In America. In America. We taught ourselves.
Owning hotels and businesses.
Name me one black person you know that owns a hotel. We owned hotels, fam, until they decided to burn that shit down. The same looters that they're calling thugs. They burnt that shit down in number of cities, not just Harlem. Because I'm learning now that North Carolina and all these places had their own little Wall Street. Because we had no choice but to take care of ourselves. We can't look to our enemy to take care of our wounds. We had our own doctors. We had our own teachers to teach us about our history, our true history, our music, our names, our towns, our kingdoms. We don't have that, and we've been completely stripped of that. We are relying on people that are not of our race to teach us about our history. It's just ridiculous. Social integration was just not the way. But we'll move on because that was a heated topic. So we're going to move on to Dumbass of the Week. So, Dumbass of the Week goes to the wheelchair lady that was trying to protect Target, trying to stab after people, trying to protect Target. And you know, she could walk.
Really?
Yeah, trying to protect Target.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and the man that was shooting arrows, trying to shoot arrows at people, and then they beat his ass up, and then he was on like a news channel saying that, 2 African American men just jumped out from nowhere. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah, try to shoot arrow.
I don't know, but they're clearly just dumb. Because not only was this girl stabbing all the looters as they walking out like a psycho, but then she was on here, they beat me up, and I don't understand why
they did the right thing. They just bringing extinguisher ass.
This bitch is walking. They beat her ass.
Good.
This bitch is walking over here, let me alone. You know what I'm saying? Trying to defend herself, but she was out here stabbing the looters as they're running out like a psycho. You didn't think he was gonna get beat the fuck up? You getting beat the fuck up.
They definitely deserve dumbass. The cops that killed Derek deserve more than dumbass. They deserve the death
And
penalty.
the man with the bow and arrows, he really kills me because this man was like, I'm an American. This is how I protect America. Whatever the fuck he said. And was shooting the arrows and then told the news station he doesn't understand why he got beat up. 2 black people beat him up and he's over here shooting arrows.
This is what we're fighting against.
An arrow into a group of people.
Yeah.
If I was standing in a group of people and I turned to my left and an arrow went through somebody's head, you understand how crazy that is? And that's what this man was doing, like a psycho. That man deserved to get fucked up. That's why I'm just like, you're a dumbass for that.
No, I don't think nobody. I think that would have been all over social media if he actually hit somebody with it. But yeah, these people are crazy. This is what we are up against. This is why we need to put all our differences aside, all our debates aside, and just come together and make up a plan. Like, you think different, I think different, whatever. But we just need to just come together and just understand the overall agenda here and what we're trying to achieve. And that's all I say out there to the people that are out there protesting. Toodles to you. You know, you're out there in the field trying to get heard and your message out there. But my only thing is just be organized. You know, They're gonna tear gas you. They're gonna bring the dogs out.
They're gonna wet up.
They're gonna bring the hoses out, and it's gonna be very easy to immobilize somebody who's not prepared. So just be prepared for anything. We know that you're out there protesting peacefully, but these people come dressed for war. So you need to really understand the beast that you're fighting here in America. And that's my 2 piece.
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, man. All I can say is just stay black, stay intelligent. But no, I have to say that because there's a lot of us that are black, but we ain't. We a problem. We need to weed them out, get them out. But all right. Tips on how to stay safe.
I also wanted to do a brief moment of silence for all of the black people that, you know, faced injustice within the last couple of months, but even within the last, 20 years. Yeah. Anybody that has been beaten up brutally, any family members that have lost their family members to, police brutality and the injustices of just being, a black person in America anyways. Just give a moment of silence to them and just give a moment of silence to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, I believe her name was, a couple of other individuals this year that have just died from ignorance, really. So just give a moment of silence for that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so do you guys have any tips on how to stay safe?
Oh, yeah, I did a bunch of stuff on my Instagram today. So instead of looting Gucci, how about you loot Home Depot and get some gas masks? Protect yourselves from the tear gas, okay? Because that's the first hit. Don't you see that there's stages to this, right? You should know them by now. We've been doing this for 100 years. So strategize. They're going to come out with the tear gas. So make sure that you got your gas masks on. I'm not telling you to go out there armed with guns and knives. I'm telling you to protect yourself, all right? Mm-hmm. Go out there with your masks. Go out there with your helmets. Use umbrellas, or everyone in the crowd should have umbrellas. So when they start spraying pepper spray, you can cover and take cover, right? Everybody. Body armor. Try to dress in full clothing. Because when they start to shoot these rubber bullets at you, which is the next stage, when they start to shoot rubber bullets at you, those can penetrate. They don't do any real, life-threatening damage, but they can penetrate. They're made to immobilize you. So I see a lot of guys in the hood that, last summer it was a trend to wear this bulletproof thing. Dust them off. Put them on. And if you don't want to put them on, donate them to people who are marching. Again, I'm not telling y'all people to go out there for war, but be prepared because the people that you're opposing are dressed for war. They've got their helmets on. They've got their face covered. They've got their barricades. They're ready for anything. And you need to do the same. So that would be my 2 cents. Do you have anything to add?
I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's to stay safe, man, for the foot soldiers, We need y'all. We need the warriors. Not all of us can be warriors, Not all of us can have that heart, right? So the ones who do have the heart, just make sure you stay safe.
Make even your own pepper spray.
Easy.
You know?
Put some cayenne pepper, blend it up, you know.
Yeah, and
Come
throw
on,
them shit in a
we're
bucket.
black people. We know how to make up spices and ting and do our thing and take them by
Shit and
surprise.
bust them.
Like,
With
you
some
know.
bleach in a bucket with Pepsi.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, look how much you just YouTube
Most
like
definitely.
it like home stuff that you can use to make little bombs. You'd be surprised you'll find them.
But
You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
their agenda, you know what I mean? They want to go take other people's stuff, you know, mash up the
Yeah,
store
like we
without
gotta get
looting.
organized. What is the objective
Yes, yeah.
here? Another thing, like you should watch how the Chinese protest and try to make a change. Like they have their barriers. They literally plan out everything. You have your barriers so that they can't be driving over you guys like you're freaking rodents in the street. Get a piece of zinc, a piece of board. That's what the Africans do when they have rebellions. They block off the street. We're not that easy to penetrate. Block it off, set fire along the line so you can't even penetrate. So easy. You know what I mean? Have your zinc ready and hold up. So if you do see them trying to drive over, you got a little bit of force to disperse to the side. Like, come on. You got to get organized because then we're just going to be dying in vain and it's going to just be silly. And they must view us as fools sometimes. And just letting us kick and scream and let off some steam. And, you know, but man, as I said, I just wish everybody the best and just stay safe out there and still try to somewhat do this social distancing. Because, I mean, did COVID disappear? Curious.
Right, gone.
Because I don't see any social distancing happening right now. So, listen, the rest is up to us. And that's my 2-piece.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Well.
All right, guys. You can see us out. You can do the outro.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. You know, we got Handsome Shells, Becky Billionaire, our gracious host, Andre could not be with us, but we got me, Kenny B, or whatever you want to call me at this point. And yeah, tune in to our next show next week and comment below if just comment your opinions below on everything that's going on. And if you feel like Black people oppress themselves. Anyways, deuces.
Deuces. Stay black, folks.